Fools make a mock at sin, but among the righteous there is favor. I was thinking about the character called the Hulk, as social media put some interesting things here, some interesting folks in my feeds. I was thinking about this Incredible Hulk and about other things related to the comic books that they were a big part of my life as a youth and a very young man. My thoughts were along the lines of one of the reasons people like the Incredible Hulk so much is that he releases rage. He tears stuff up and no one can stop him. He's basically a big old toddler, and that's appealing to people. I mean, can you imagine if that tantrum having toddler that you saw in the Wally World or the Tarjay was 8 feet tall and weighed hundreds of pounds? It could throw vehicles around. Somebody that's uncontrollable, both from within himself and from anyone who might calm him down. And the point I'm making here is people seem to like the idea of this unfettered, unfiltered violence and destruction. I mean, they like the idea of it. They like to watch it from afar or on a screen. They cling to the entertainment and they can't do without these fantasies. Now, what we call real life, these people don't like that stuff. If the violence and the destruction and the death, if that all came their way and affected their loved ones and possessions, they would be on their knees and they got the head in their hands and they'd be calling on the Lord, the same Lord that they mock with almost every word they speak. Now, the interweb put some of these mockers in my face. I don't normally go looking for specific things. I kind of let things come to me. And I've seen that, and so have you probably, that no matter what you're searching for, YouTube and all the other ones, they're going to throw stuff that has nothing to do with what you got going on. Or some might call that a rabbit trail. It's going to send you on that trail. And if you're not focused, that random suggestion that they threw at you, it'll distract you for hours. And you'll totally set aside what you were originally checking for. But I'm going to take these distractions sometimes. And I'm going to turn it into something that's going to glorify the Lord, God willing. Using the Bible as a filter, with the eyeglasses, as always. The Bible's perfect. It's got you and me and this perishing world all figured out every time. Now, these are movie reviewers that we got on deck right here. Or they cover and applaud pop culture in general, however you want to put it. The platforms and channels we're going to look at, I never heard of any of them before about Thanksgiving 2022, as I'm sitting here in early February 23. And noticing one of them kind of led to the other. Like I said, that's how the distraction works. It's just going to lead you further and further away. And I realized pretty quickly that using these hosts, these channel hosts, using their own words is a good way to strengthen the points that we've already made in this ministry. And I guess it's one or another one of our, what I call and response kind of messages. I'm going to let them talk and then I'm going to respond to it. So what is the point here? Again, it's that people who are following what the devil wants, who walk in the flesh and scoff at spiritual, eternal matters, those types of people are infatuated with darkness. So those are your two choices. You're either going to pursue life and light through Christ, or you pursue darkness and death via your super brain discernment and or your spirituality that you call a million other things. Now, most of us can put on an affectation or whatnot and tell people about our good works and how we care and help people. People love to do that. They're bragging on themselves, basically. But the truth comes out if you let people just continue to talk and spit our heart all over the floor. It's going to come out. You just watch people walk out what they believe. You can talk all your generic, abstract God in heaven all you want. But some of us can see through it. Who is your God really? And people don't have to answer that question directly. Just let them talk and walk. You get a sense of what kind of people they really are. There's a passage in Proverbs chapter 8 that's talking about you and me. Which side are you on? Proverbs 8:34. Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors. This is wisdom talking. For whoso findeth me findeth life, and shall obtain favor of the Lord. But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul. All they that hate me love death. That's wisdom talking there in Proverbs, but it's really a picture or illustration of Jesus. All that I just read right there, that applies to Jesus. These folks here, they're talking about a superhero film. And if you went back many years, I guarantee you I would be just as excited and watching these movies too, like these people. But once I've understood how wicked that popular entertainment is, or what we call Hollywood as our catch-all phrase, I was just compelled to throw it away. Now, that was a process. It didn't happen in one day. I saw the evil in things I formerly thought were enjoyable, and I got convicted. And I realized that these enjoyable things were nothing but sewage. And then these pop culture fans here, with tens or hundreds of thousands of followers, they celebrate this sewage. They drinking it, and they want you to drink it. And if you don't drink it and say it's good, they're going to call you out, say you're weird and strange. You're an outsider if you don't enjoy perversion and gore. Now, I'm saying nothing untrue there. I'm not saying anything fresh or original. And as I say often, pretty much everyone can see that the people in the world are deceived and on a broad way on a course of destruction. The issue is, are you agreeing with that direction? Are you defending it? Are you smothering yourself in a death entertainment? You don't even know what you're doing to yourself. You don't know the true effect of it. You're about to lift your eyes and be somewhere you don't want to be. I'm going to push back a little bit against what they're endorsing here, because not only was I a part of the cult, the pop cult at one time and came out of it, so I know what's going on with them. Also, I'm meant to contend for the faith earnestly until my time on this earth is done. And I'm here for it. God helping me.
For our overall enjoyment for the film, but I have some issues too. The Rock did show up and show out. It was extremely violent, and I love all the action. But I'm satisfied. I'm happy. I'm not disappointed with this film. We're gonna get in.
This person here is talking about a character named Black Adam, and that was the movie they're talking about. I knew quite a bit about comic books back in the day, so I still recall a lot of what I consumed back then. Now, that character is extremely powerful and extremely brutal from my recollection. It sounds like he is in the movie too, which I haven't seen, and I don't have no plan to see it. But the person right here talking, he loves that brutality. He loves all the fisticuff action, which you can take from that. He enjoys the violence on screen that Hollywood is going to give you. He said right here, he's happy about the violence. It's a strange thing to say if you know God and what pleases him. It's an evil thing.
Seeing that super speed of someone like Black Adam, and just in the blink of an eye, he's ripping your heads off, which I know I mentioned a couple days ago, this film was almost rated R because it was
almost rated R. Okay, we should know at this point that the rating system is a joke. But the rating system is supposed to be protecting people, or that's the general idea, seems to be, especially young people. But even the more restricted by way of ratings media, it has a bunch of wickedness in it. Like the producers of filth, they know how to slip in evil and get to the kids and make it look innocent. I mean, anyone with discernment knows that Disney is the master of this kind of deception. They give you sewage and they put whipped cream on it. I mean, sometimes I'll just dog Disney out to people who are talking about it and lavishing it with praise or whatever. Disney movies, Disney products, Disney world. I mean, I'll dog Disney out. And I can tell that the person listening, they're just floored. They're flabbergasted that I would dare say that Disney is straight up evil, and they have been since Jump Street, which that was the whole intention of Disney. That's the whole meaning of, or reason that they were created. It was created. Now, that's been proven by many other people, including me. So we're not going to get into that right now. But if you don't know that by now, you need a lot of help. I'll just say that. The Disney company, they're just a piece of what I'm talking about, Hollywood. And Hollywood produces all kinds of different kinds of trash. They deliver it to different groups of people all over the world, so everyone can potentially be covered and nicely entertained as the world descends into hell. I mean, you don't like Black Adam ripping limbs off dudes? Oh, well, how about this nice show over there featuring children and teenagers, and they're learning how to cast spells? Yeah, that's better, right?
You can see where some of that could have been, because it was pretty gruesome. Grabbing the one guy, his arm drops off, and I was here for it, man. I thought the action was very well shot, really well put together.
Like we said often, listen to the way people say things. The violence was very well put together. That's what this other person said right there. That's a compliment to the violence. Hey, these are strange things that people are saying. Very wicked. It's a thumbs up to the wickedness. I say these things, and I know somebody's rolling their eyes like, you're doing too much, man. You're taking this way too seriously. You're taking it too far. And if that's you, I just know you're clueless on this matter. That doesn't offend me that you think like that about me. You don't understand that things affect you. The wicked things you put before your eyes, Psalm 101 verse 3 right there. Those things are going to influence you. They're going to influence your thinking, your beliefs, the way you talk and act. And people are all the time still saying, at this late hour, they're still saying, oh, you're one of those religious people who thinks that If a kid sees a TV murderer, he's then going to go off and do that too. That's a big conversation, but bottom line, putting wickedness before your eyes as entertainment, it's just a way of desensitizing you over time, affecting your thinking and actions, even if you don't catch it from within yourself. It's there. It doesn't mean you're going to exactly act like a crazy man named the Joker just because you watch Batman. I understand that, but if you notice, just walking around in public anywhere today, a whole lot of people look like the Joker and that Harley Quinn girlfriend these days, don't they? You think it's a coincidence? Whole lot of people walking around looking like Dennis Rodman anymore. You think he didn't influence them? It's not about Rodman or Joker or Harley Quinn or anybody. It's not about anybody in particular or any character, but they're linchpins in this idea that people should color themselves up, pierce themselves all up. Meanwhile, acting out the sodomite life, which is always going to bring death. Is that an accident? No, they're part of it. And they're just proof that people can be and are influenced. That's all life is. Just being influenced or influencing and being influenced or deceiving and being deceived. You see and learn from other people and they learn from you. That's all children are. They don't have a real coherent, consistent train of stable thought until they're in their late teens for the most part, at best. Some people never get it. Now, the Bible says, raise a child up in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. The devil knows all about that, and he uses that principle. Get to the children and influence them all the way into old age. In this panel you're looking at right here, they're part of the enemy's plan. And you think I'm joking or being too harsh? Okay, well, tell me who they're with as they grin about the blood flying around on that big old projection. Who are they with as they celebrate this vicarious murder? Are they on God's side or Satan? And those are the only two choices. And I think you know what the answer is.
And again, just on that super speed and the velocity and the brutality, and going back to when you mentioned Shazam, Superman, and the Return of Black Adam, one of my favorite elements of that is how savage, Shazam or Black Adam is, and we get to see that in this moment here. Going back to us saying like we wish we would have got more of that.
He wants more of the savagery. You heard him? As I said, I'm not that familiar with these Hollywood promoters in social media. I don't really know these channels up until some weeks ago, as I said, because I don't watch the movies. So therefore, I'm not interested in their trying to sell and pump the filth. In the same way, I'm not interested in your beer commercials and billboards because I'm not a drunkard. But you can make an educated guess that these people right here, they know how to act righteous when they think it's needed. You might say I'm being self-righteous right now, but the difference is I know I'm not righteous in and of myself outside of Christ. I have an assurance that Jeremiah 17:9 is right and true. Each of us has a heart, not the literal physical beating heart, but the essence, the basic nature of us, which is desperately wicked and deceitful above all things. I'm a sinner bought and saved by grace. That's why I avoid this kind of movie anymore, unless I'm pointing out how evil it is, because I know it's going to affect me if I don't guard my heart with all diligence. And these people, and probably most of the world, they think that they're smart enough, strong enough, wise enough, spiritual enough that these things won't affect them to the core to see heads bouncing around on the floor or whatever. And they're wrong, of course. They can flip switches between clapping for people murdered for entertainment, and then they can put on a puppy dog face if one of their commenters or subscribers says they're going through something bad. It's just a self-deception.
Evil, menacing side of it. This to me was just like he didn't care who was in there. He was just ripping your head off, blowing you up, tearing you apart, minus him saving the one of the main characters. But I really enjoyed this interest. It was very much Man of Steel.
Nice.
He enjoyed it. Like I say, you might think it's nothing, what I'm saying, but everything you and I do, it's going to affect us. It's going to leave ripples that bounce around us and those around us for life. Remember, Jesus said, if the eye is full of light, well, but if your eyes are filled with darkness, how great is that darkness? That's a hard verse. I don't really hear people talk about that verse a lot.
Much Man of Steel.
Nice. And to echo and to tap onto that email, I want to hear from you. Same thing. But he did save old girl. Yeah. It was kind of subconscious too. I don't like it. Just like he, it was. I don't. I would tap onto that email. I want to hear from you. Same thing. But he did save old girl. Yeah. It was kind of subconscious too. I don't like it. Just like he, it was. I don't. I like that how they threw that in. Like, okay, he got some good in him. How did you feel about that whole sequence right there, email?
Well,
he got some good in him. He's talking about the one named Black Adam. The one they just said was tearing people apart like gingerbread men. Apparently, the character saved someone in that film and did a few other things that showed he has some good works. So he can now be the protagonist fully. Now, if he was totally evil, he couldn't be the headliner in the same way, probably. They got to make people like this relatable, characters like that. They got to make them relatable, sympathetic, or try to. And that way, to see moviegoers such as these will like them and even contend for this fictional character, have emotion for him. And keep in mind that the protagonist is not necessarily the good guy. I guess if you go back far enough, that's how it's always been in the movies. But it seems like more and more that's how Hollywood does it because they see the world as getting more and more evil, or they're part of that descent, of course. They're playing to that. People root for the bad guy. People have always kind of liked the bad guy. Like a Batman slash Bruce Wayne. It's really a terrible human being. He's a bad guy who fights worse guys, as I've said before. I mean, he might save people or even help save the world. But when you dig into his motivations, he's just a half measure, morally, spiritually. He's still just a little boy, but he's got all these tools and strength now that he can use for vengeance and what he calls justice. And that character's good works, Batman, they're used to cover up all of his issues. And the devil-influenced murdering character named Batman, he's now a hero to millions of foolish people. And probably will be until this whole thing is over. That is, this world. And when the world begins to fall apart and actually be destroyed, people are going to forget about it. But until then, you're going to see people dressing up like them, seeing the movies, stickers, decals, all that stuff.
And I had no issue with, the violence was great. Like, I'm like, okay, this is the Black Adam I know. Like, it's all about that action. We ain't asking no questions. It's on site.
You hear the excitement in his voice? Right on.
And, he always did care about his people so I was like, okay, it looked like he recognized it was like, okay, you from the west side of town. So I got your back. You good. And he was just.
He's looking after his people. So this person is also making a note of the good side of this murderer. Got to be empathetic to the audience on some small level. Sympathy for the devil. Remember that song? I don't even know what the lyrics to that song are. The title alone tells me what's up. I don't need to know the lyrics. The people in the world as a whole do have sympathy for the devil. At the trial of Jesus Christ, the angry mob that's calling for his death, remember they were given a choice that they could have released Jesus. The rulers, the judges up there before the mob, they said that no fault could be found in this man Jesus. They had no reason to kill him or even really imprison him. They chose to release a proven murderer named Barabbas. And people act nice in this world, but largely, we love death. We love the violence. I'm not letting that point go. I've been talking about it for years. And I'm going to just put it in people's face. It's right in your face right there. You love the death. Unless it's coming to you. You love these movies because you love death and you want the devil stuff more than the godly stuff.
In terms of the knocking that sequence was dope. It was so good. I really enjoyed the display of power, like taking away the backstory. Let's just talk about the physicality of the character. I loved it. And in the fights, I was like, that was the way he fought was the only way that the film communicated to me that he is savage.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't through story and it was not through the development of his character.
The way he fought is how they showed his savagery, yes. And people love it. I guarantee the person who loves this stuff thinks he or she is a good person, basically. But how are you basically good when you love the depiction of savagery? It excites you, thrills you. Yeah, it's fantasy or fiction or whatever term you can pull out. But the thing is, you're scientists, you believe in so much. They've long said that your brain doesn't really know the difference between fantasy and reality on some level. On the surface it does, but subconsciously this stuff is changing you.
It was only in how he fights. If you want to know a man, you got to know how he fights. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I know this man. This man will kill you. I like that. I love that.
All of them love it.
And in terms of the physicality, it's not just casting. I mean, The Rock really made this story his own, and I'm not sure, but I kind of believe that if he hadn't played him, he would have executive produced the project.
Oh, for sure.
Because he's just had that connection. It's like Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds. It's not that I always want to play him. There's something about this character that I know is a part of me, and I have to do this.
I have to do this. Yeah, sure, some of the huge or popular or long-lasting roles in these productions, they're tailor-made for certain performers. She mentions Ryan Reynolds right there, who's pretty much one of the king sodomites in Hollywood, as we sit here today. I don't even know if it's a man, to be honest. Do you know what it is? Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, it's all alphabet soup mafia action right there. Of course, The Rock and this Reynolds, they identify with those characters. The characters are ultimately evil, and the performers themselves, they rep evilness. It's a perfect combination from Hellfire.
But the action was nice. I like how everybody was beating each other's. That was cool and all that good stuff. And
That was cool. Okay.
be like, well, B, it's dark at night and he's the Black Panther, so he's supposed to blend in. But yeah, but at the same time, I want to see him kick somebody in the face and, do the moves and claw and throw him here. And it just wasn't.
Even the way they
I want to see him kicked in the face. Yeah, it's just a casual statement.
I want to see him like they flash and he jump away or something like that, But so that was a little disappointing because to be honest, when I saw the trailers, that images looked more clear in the trailers, than the actual movie. I liked it. I mean, I'm sad that he died, but I liked the deaths in this movie because there was a lot of deaths.
Just say that so casually. Okay, so he liked the deaths. So he's disappointed that the people getting beaten up and killed wasn't clearer in this certain scene. He wanted to see it. All right, that's my takeaway from his reaction there. I want to see more. It's too dark. It didn't slow it down for me. I'm telling you, these people don't understand how wicked they sound and are.
Derek Gaines, $5. Will there be blood in the death scenes? I wish they were, whether it's in the show or the movies.
But we had blood last week, I'll tell you that. So
that's right. I forgot all about
bloody
that.
moments last week.
Yeah, the commenter, will there be blood? I'm telling you, the bloodlust person can never get enough. Yeah, if there's blood, you're going to want more.
Cover it, or I'm going to try to cover it one way or another, because that show was fantastic.
Okay, here one of the persons from those panels is going solo on his own channel. And here he's talking about a comic book that turned into an animated show and looks like it's going to go to a live action depiction. It sounds like this franchise that he's talking about is doing well in financially or whatever. And it's partly because of the ultra violence that they're describing. And this thing called Invincible was way after my time of collecting and reading comics. I'm very unfamiliar with it. I've never seen a cartoon, never read a comic book. I've seen the stills and clips that cross my path because it's a popular thing. You're not going to get away from it. If you turn on any device, you're going to see it. When I see anything about it, it's not by choice. And the little bit I know about it, it made it obvious from the get-go. It's crazy devil stuff in the guise of a superhero vehicle. And that's enough setup for me. And this person is going to give you the rest.
And it is based on a comic. And the funny thing is, I started reading the comic before I watched the show. And as the comic started getting good, I was like, no, I don't want to see no more. And I just started watching the show only. And I got to say, there's so much wild stuff that's about to happen. And I can't wait. I cannot wait. But here's the thing. It's not just the fact that season 2 is coming. But did y'all know that apparently they're going to take this up a level even higher? A live action film adaptation of Invincible is still happening. Okay, a live action. And here's what was said by Kirkman. The show has just helped that immensely. People are very excited about that movie potential at Universal. So we're riding that excitement and trying to push things forward as quickly as possible. Wow. Now let me tell you something. I didn't know that they were doing a movie in live action. I'm not opposed to them doing a movie in live action. All I know is if and when they do this, rated R should be the bare minimum rating. I mean, I'm at the point.
See, there's a deception about media ratings again. And we just recently did a message where I briefly went over the parental advisory stickers that used to be on albums and CDs. I don't know if they're on digital platforms now because I really don't download or go to those platforms a lot. I really don't. But I said at that time that the ratings are just a part of tricking you. Either because you got the clean version of the song and it was still wicked, the content, just minus what we call profanity. Or because you got the dirty version, you want the vile wickedness, and you're tricked that way too because you again are willingly drinking the spiritual sewage. And not only that, but here's more excitement about what is evil. Why does that excite people? Well, I already know the answer. I just want somebody else to think about it. Why are they excited? Why do they like this? Why are they smiling?
Given the level of violence that takes place in the comic and in the show, I'm at the point where I'm like, y'all might need to make this NC-17. Like, it's not the violence. It's a really gruesome show. It's very, very gruesome. Okay.
That's gruesome. See how he's smirking as he talks about disgusting things and death and wrath as entertainment? If I say something is gruesome, I ought not to be smiling about it. Again, I know it's just TV, dummy. Yes, I understand you. Yeah, I understand. But so go ahead.
Like, I don't know if you even want 16-year-olds walking in watching that. This
You think he cares about 16-year-olds and their sensibilities and protecting them in some way? You better think again. I guess that was a joke of his. I'm just going to take it like that.
you got to be desensitized like me, to watch this kind of stuff. But
Desensitized. Why is that funny? Again, why? Why is it funny to be desensitized to murder depictions played out for our enjoyment? That some of you pay hundreds of dollars per year for. You pay money to be desensitized, deceived, downgraded, and finally laughed at by the very people you idolize up there on the silver screen. It's funny, but I ain't laughing. I mean, it's funny as in weird or idiotic.
when I tell you that live action could be so phenomenal, as long as they don't hold back,
Yeah, as long as they don't hold back. That's it. He wants all the blood and gore. Well, by now, in this hour, if you made it this far, you can see what these film critics, these Hollywood idolaters, and probably you, if you agree with them or you're excited like them, you can see what it's all about for you and them. I wonder what people would say if Black Adam or Deadpool or somebody started throwing and dismembering and stabbing dogs and penguins and giraffes or something. I mean, could we get away and say, hey, don't get angry or offended. It's just fiction. You think you could get away with it? Tell me.
I think that if they go for what's dude's name? His daddy, Omni-Man. If they go for Omni-Man, I want Jeffrey Dean Morgan to play him. Ooh, that'd be money. That'd be money. And I want that subway scene. Woo! Y'all know if you see.
I guess this subway scene, as he calls it, I guess it was super bloody, even by a super bloody production standards. I mean, I'm sure it'll bubble up on my feed at some point, probably because the computer heard me talking about it right now. But I'm going to do my best to never click it, even though YouTube is still going to say I watched it, even if its thumbnail does nothing but appear somewhere on the screen.
Seen the show? If you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking. That subway scene with the trains and stuff. Ooh!
Remember, we talked about the definition of a sodomite before. I never did do a full message about that. You see this person shrieking like Little Richard? I mean, is this a man or... To be sure, a sodomite is not only LGBT, but it's those who approve of and endorse, defend, and encourage the alphabet soup. And let me say it in a different way. The sodomite is one who openly, unrepentantly is sinning, and it's also, that group includes the one who is supporting that open sin and taking pleasure in it. That is, watching the movies about it. That's Romans 1, verse 32, right there. Who, knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, they're not right there, they're talking about the list of shameful and sinful qualities that precede verse 32 there. It's qualities that the world celebrates. They which commit such things are worthy of death. Not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. Takes pleasure in, again, they watch all the junk on the flat screen. They're fans of it. They're going to promote it to you. And anything that in there that they disagree with or are offended by, they're going to pass it off and just keep watching as it takes the world deeper into sin, or at least helps it on the way. Sodomite is a Bible word, and it fits here. It lands smack dab on all these movie promoter channels, pop culture pushers. It's got a power to it. That's why people don't like to use that word now, because people know what it means. Anyone you hear using the word sodomite who is also denying Christ as the way, truth, and life, only way to the Father in heaven, and equal to the Lord himself, you better know that person is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways, and he's trying to steal from the word of God while hating the Son of God. What kind of person is that? Well, I'll leave you to think about that.
Yo. They put that in live action? I don't know. It's that's gonna be nuts. I'll rewatch that for the sake of watching it live. I know that.
He's looking forward to seeing a live action version of this gory scene that he's talking about that impresses him so much that he's screaming in pleasure.
But I ain't gonna give nothing away just in case if anyone hasn't watched the show or anything.
He doesn't have to give anything away. Those of us who haven't seen it and don't know about the scene, we know it's bloody murder that he's talking about, and people like this one, They're going to rewind the scene 10 times to catch all the details. And I know because when I was young, that's what I did. And you notice the sodomites are always going to think they're righteous. Do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, right? Got it.
If you haven't, please go check it out. If you don't mind superhero stuff, if you don't mind lots of violence, it is super violent. I mean,
You see how he tries to soft serve you? I mean, this might not be your cup of tea and all that, but don't make a mistake here. He wants you to watch it. That's why he keeps talking about it so long. He wants you to be pleased with it like he is. And don't get it twisted. Again, I'm not better than this guy. As I said earlier, I used to enjoy this stuff too. Ephesians 2 reminds those of us in the faith that we were once dead in trespasses and sins, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind. That's what Hollywood is when you get down to the bottom of it. But I did enjoy it in those days. So I have a little bit of mercy and grace for people like these who go against God by stuffing all the trash into their own systems by way of Hollywood. At the same time, I'm going to stand firm on God's word. It says that this stuff is abominable and not to be messed with, not to be your entertainment. Like I say, just because I understand, that doesn't mean I'm going to be okay with it. That's where a lot of the world is going wrong. We just need to understand the sin, and then we're okay with it. That's what's going on now.
if you can't take someone's guts being ripped out their stomach, don't watch this. Okay. I'm giving you that warning right now. But I'm here for this. I definitely
See, now he goes ahead and leaks something that happens. He keeps talking about it and circling around it. He's trying to whet your appetite so you'll go and find this thing he's talking about, this scene. Understand, that's his job on YouTube or whatever other platforms he might be on. That's why he has tens of thousands of subs, or I think 100,000 this one does. He's meant to bring them and others into the big tent for the bread and circuses.
about a live action version of Invincible. Is this something that you would watch? And here's another question. What if they made it PG-13? Would you?
Okay, we're getting real sweet over there with this one, but okay. Now he asked, would you watch this if it was PG-13? Which is him saying or asking, PG-13 is not enough blood or no blood at all, and the violence and the language in general would be toned down a bit. And again, the thing about the ratings is that even if they tamp down the hardcore violence of something, the average person who's introduced into the show and characters from the show, they're going to go and search out the harder version or unrated version. That's what they do. That's what people do. It's the same as the black and white advisory stickers in music I was just talking about. I personally remember being a hip-hop fan back in the day when it was a young genre, as they call it. I would sometimes end up with the stickered version, and of course, I was just made more curious as to what the bleeped out words were, even though I kind of knew I could kind of tell what the words were from the context, as I say. But most of the time, you could figure it out, so the bleep was useless. The point here is he's eye-rolling anything that removes or lessens the death and violence. Just get a view of that. What I'm saying here. Like I said in the beginning of this, he would be so destroyed if it kicked in his door. Not necessarily superheroes or something like that, because this is fiction. But I'm saying just any discomfort, any violence, any murder and death. It would crush him.
Watch it. Like, what? I mean, because I don't even know if I could take it seriously if they made it PG-13.
As far as this Invincible thing goes, you could understand how we couldn't take it seriously if they sanitized it. It's evil, what he's saying, or that sentiment, but it's understandable how the show's fans will be disappointed. But really, I don't think they could sanitize it. It seems like the show and the comic have already established this bloody trail or handprint, and a kiddie version of it is always just going to lead back to the death version.
Like, I'm just saying, like, why are y'all doing this? But anyway, would y'all be cool with a live action version of Invincible? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, let's see. We got my man Nelson V. What you got here? You so right, E-Man. Scott Lang is a supporting character while Kang got the victory. By stopping anyone in his way, yeah.
Okay, he kind of jumped right into this, and I wasn't planning to include this part of it, but I'll just go ahead and include this at the end of this just to save some time so I don't have to make another video about it. And it does kind of lock in with our theme right now, which is they want murder. They want lies, deceit, mockery of the true and living God, and call it all entertainment. So I'll just shut it down with this little clip here. And this person here used a pseudo gospel song to make a video about another comic book character. And the people who love Hollywood and who love the devil worshippers, which run it and perform for it, those people are necessarily going to make jokes about the Lord. Once you love the world, you're going to hate God. And by that I mean sometimes it might not be an open hate, but it's a despising or a belittling of what pleases him and what he's all about. Once you the song he used makes a joke out of real spiritual songs of the Christian faith in the first place. The person who put that song out, I think it's a couple of decades ago at this point, that's an entertainer who plays at mixing gospel or praise music with the world's form of godliness. Now that entertainer is on record defending the alphabetical movements that we're looking at today. And he's on some years ago, he was saying that Christians are the evil ones and the sodomites are the good ones. Yeah? It's another sodomite. Because remember, those who take pleasure in or enable the sin, they're no better than those who partake in the sin. And the ones who try to sit on the fence or put their head in the sand and just, oh, well, this is just the way the world's going. And just, you're a sodomite too. You think God is okay with you? All right, we're going to see pretty soon here.
My brother, can't you see? I've got the victory. Stop!
And this guy's moving kind of like the modern churchgoer, right? He's got an affectation, a put on kind of spirituality or worship, even though he's not a Christian. But a lot of people can kind of do this little mockery kind of movement like he's doing right there. He might be able to fit in with a lot of 21st century assemblies. He might be able to fool some of the worldly and or false professors in those places. Remember that lots of places call themselves churches, but they're not. And they're filled with a bunch of lost people. Technically, a church is, as I say, it's merely an assembly. It's just a gathering of people. So you can take that as you will. I mean, you can say this or that as a quote unquote church, and you can just sweep past it like that and be ignorant, basically, or a liar, and connect true churches as defined by the Bible, along with everything else calling itself a church, which according to the Bible or not. If I'm making sense. I mean, I know you don't want none of this if that's you. You don't really want to define and discuss this because then you couldn't keep your hatred of Christians and be honest. I mean, we're talking about New Testament churches, which most people don't know nothing about. As I said, they can just mock from afar and throw these stones. New Testament churches. Once you say that phrase, that alone whittles the number of real churches in the world down. And I promise you, this one right here, he might visit a real church. I'm sure he probably has in his life because, like I said, he has the affectation down. He has the act down. But he'll never continue attending a real church with Bible preaching and people trying to walk the walk and talk the talk in there. Not as long as he's a Hollywood idolater, mocking God like he's doing right here, and as he was on our panel earlier. I mean, you can be an idolater and remain so in a fake church. I mean, they got a cross on the wall and call themselves a church, but they don't even believe, preach, or follow the Bible. And you can be an idolater in those places like this person is, which is most so-called churches now, because you're not going to get convicted. You're not going to get preaching that hurts your feelings from time to time. None of these movie shield channels could take that. So that's how we know that this is more death and darkness being invited in with this little clip that this person made here. Somebody's laughing and clapping, but it's wicked and ill if you know what's going on.
I know if y'all have not seen the Kang Stomp, go on to my channel, go watch that Kang Stomp, man. Don't make me even pull this. I need to download that and pull it up. But I tell you that I laughed so hard when I was looking at the video, because I was putting the video together and I was looking at the lyrics. At first, I just look a little quick behind the scenes. At first, I'm making this real. And I see the lyrics and it says, my brother, can't you see? I've got the victory. Stomp. And I was going to leave it at that. I was like, yeah, Kang, stomp. Okay. Then I read the lyrics and Kirk Franklin was like, I'm more than a conqueror. I was like, oh no.
It sounds like using this song was meant to be, right? It probably was. It sounds like it was a plan from somewhere other than God. And this is just another Christ rejecter. As I said, he's just on his way to eternal separation from God, at least currently. At least as I talk right now. There's still hope for him, though. And you know, when I use these call and response things and I use real people talking about stuff, I pray for these people. I'm not just trying to run them down the road, but what I'm saying on these messages, these people still have a chance. But if he doesn't get saved, he's going to be in the lake of fire. And I don't say that with pleasure. It's a tragic thing. Even if the singer of the song, Kirk Franklin, the stomp phenomenon I remember from way back, even if he was a genuine defender of the word of God, which a lot of people think he is, and from all indications, he's not, using this song that is supposedly glorifying the Lord for this video, this comic book character, it's of the devil. And I know that's what people do. Me talking this way isn't meant to touch a majority of people, because a majority of people hate the real God. I'm not supposed to be popular. I'm not supposed to have a lot of subscribers. It's not because I can't speak and communicate. It's because I'm talking about the Bible and I'm not mocking it. I'm saying it's the one true thing that we've got. And that's always going to limit the number of people who are going to stick around and listen to something like that. Those of us who don't hate him, God, and want to please God by way of believing and following his word, loving what his son did for us, we ought to be careful with these entertainers and with those who support it.
Oh no, we got to put that in. I got to put that in there. Then I listened to the rest of the song. Ooh, we promised the stomp, nothing but the stomp. Oh, come on.
Now, I noticed that people who hate God, they see him being mocked in some way, and it's funny to them. You ever seen that? You ever noticed the kind of sinister, kind of clever laughter that comes out when something is really wicked? This is one of those right here.
On that. I was like, this is it. This is it. This is it. I was in there. Please go watch that reel if you got it. Go watch the short or whatever. I know YouTube gonna hit me if I play it now because of the copyright or whatever. But when I tell you I laughed so hard, I never laughed so hard at making a reel before in my life.
All right, here's a little video this person put out. There's a comic book character that's, I guess he's upcoming in the theaters in 2023. And he laid the character over with, laid some clips out with the praise stomp worship song from Franklin. And lost folks have always thought the real Christians, not the cross-wearing pretenders, but true believers, they think we're insane, nuts. Remember or understand that any chance to mock us, mock church, Bible, Jesus, and ultimately God, they're going to grab it like a punt returner and take it all the way back. I'm more than a conqueror. See, that comes from Romans 8, verse 37. Nay, in all these things, we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. That's part of an awesome passage. It's very encouraging to the true Christian, the real follower of Christ. Can I get a witness? I know culturally, a lot of people responded to this kind of churchified song. I remember this back in the day, though. You know, I never liked the song. From the first time I heard it, it was something about it that's, I'm not going to go too far into it right now, but I never enjoyed it. But I saw a lot of people did. And it appealed to a lot of Black American churchgoers and just Black Americans, because Black Americans have this churchified thing going on a lot of times where they don't go to church, they don't believe the Bible, or they might have some kind of weird false profession, but they're kind of got this, like I said, affectation or an act that they can put on where they can kind of slip in and out of that. And it kind of goes along with the sound and feel of that song and the singing. You can clap and sing along in your vehicle to this if you want, and feel closer to God if you think. But that feeling, or it doesn't mean that God is really there and approving of what's going on. I mean, I'm going to stand on my opinion that this is a fleshly song and others like it, and they're going to keep God out more than it's going to draw God closer. And as we were talking about earlier, loving murder and gore as entertainment, that keeps God out more than it draws the Lord. I mean, clearly. The Bible said the Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness. He's long-suffering. He's patient beyond what we know. He's giving us a chance and a choice. You think I'm wrong on any of this? Get hold of me and correct it.